What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Next Pats Podcast. I'm Phil Perry, a Thanksgiving edition of the Next Pats Podcast. We're bringing in our buddy, Dane Brugler of The Athletic, the best in the business when it comes to scouting draft prospects year after year after year in this media space, teaching us about these guys every single year. We love talking to him at the combine as we get close to the draft, but I thought this would be a good time right before the holidays to get Dane on the horn to teach us about the guys that we're going to be watching as you're diving into some of these conference championship games or these bowl games that'll be coming up. Which players should you be keeping an eye on that could be Patriots come 2023? So Dane does a phenomenal job with us here talking about tackles. Think that might be a problem spot for the Patriots, a spot that they might be interested in come the 2023 draft. I think so. We're also talking about receivers because, of course, sexiest position out there. We're also going to talk about one defensive back in particular who could end up playing a versatile role in this Patriots defense when come this offseason, they may be trying to, Bill Belichick may be trying to figure out how to fill the roles of John Jones and Devin McCourty, both of whom could be elsewhere. Let's face it, come 2023. Dane recently, earlier this month, put out an updated list of his top 50 draft prospects in the 2023 draft. That thing includes 5 offensive tackles. It includes 6 wide receivers. There are a number of SEC players. So if you haven't seen his top 50 list already, make sure you're subscribing to The Athletic so you can get all of Dane's work. But you can find him at theathletic.com and on Twitter at DP Brugler. So without further ado, let's get to our conversation with Dane right now. All right, there's our guy, Dane Brugler from The Athletic, the best in the business when it comes to teaching us about these draft prospects each and every year. He's already looking ahead to the 2023 class. Dane, thanks so much for being with us on Next Pats.
No, of course. Thanks, Bill.
All right, Dane. So the Patriots fans that are listening to this right now understand that there is a real problem, a foundational issue, maybe some might call it, on the offensive line right now. And there aren't many obvious fixes, just the nature of that position and the tackle position in particular. There ain't many guys out there who can do it. So when they're dealing with injuries the way that they are, and you're looking towards next season, and Isaiah Wynn, who's been a mess this year, is going to be a free agent, and I would guess is not going to be back. Trent Brown, you're always sort of questioning his availability there as well. It feels to me like a good year for the Patriots to invest early in the draft at tackle. So we talked about your top 50 list off the top of the show. Is there anybody in that list that feels like a good fit for the Patriots, especially considering where they might be drafting, Dane? And I know it's hard to peg right now, but they look like they're sort of a fringe playoff team. So they're probably not picking much higher than the middle of the first round.
Yeah, and I think it is fair to point out, too, that I think Mac Jones needs to do a better job getting the ball out, not taking so many sacks. That's part of this, too. But, I mean, I think the way you set it up is exactly right. Isaiah Wynn hasn't been the answer. Trent Brown, he's about to turn 30, going into the last year of his deal. So I think you're exactly right. Invest in the tackle position early. And when you look at this tackle class, I was a little worried coming into the year that it was going to be a weak group. But the way some of these tackles have played this year, all of a sudden the narrative has switched a little bit, and tackle should be a position we see come off the board pretty early in the first round. Penn State's Olu Fashanu, Paris Johnson from Ohio State, those guys should be top 15 picks. So probably not in the area where the Patriots will be drafting. Peter Skoronski from Northwestern is going to be a really interesting prospect throughout the process because he's going to be hotly debated from team to team because of the arm length. He's going to have 32.5-inch arms, maybe not even that. And that, for a lot of teams, that's an automatic move inside the guard. And that's not something that every team is going to see eye to eye on. I think watching his tape, he plays really well at left tackle. I think he deserves the chance to stay there, but it's going to be an issue for other teams. If you're looking for a more of a traditional prototypical left tackle, Broderick Jones from Georgia could be in the mix, especially, when you consider where the Patriots will be drafting. Bill Belichick, no stranger to drafting Georgia players in the first round. Jones is really athletic, still young, still figuring things out. This is his first year as a full-time starter, and it shows at times with the inconsistent technique, the strike timing is off, but the body control, the movements, that's what you're betting on, and see if the rest can be coached up. And then I would even advance the conversation into the day 2 when you talk about the second round. And a tackle who I think could be on the radar is Ohio State right tackle DeJuan Jones. And you know what? Selfishly, I kind of want to see it just because Trent Brown at left tackle, Jones at right tackle would be Not probably. It would be the biggest tackle tandem in NFL history. Jones is 6'8.5", 360 pounds, and those are scout verified numbers, not just school numbers. Wingspan's 89 and an eighth, which is unheard of. But more importantly, he's taken a big step in his development this year as a senior. He just turned 21 years old in August. So he's a very young player, has yet to reach his ceiling. And then he's a former basketball player who is just now really buying in to football and realizing how good he can be. So, and then I look at some of these other day two options. Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse is a little limited, but he's a solid player. Jordan Morgan from Arizona, really athletic player to keep on the radar. And then Jalen Duncan from Maryland. I love the tools, just hasn't been able to find consistency. But, there's a reason we're talking about these guys as possibilities on day two.
There's a couple of names that you mentioned there, and it is sort of, again, it's the nature of this tackle position, right? Where the best of the best, they ain't going to last. If you're a playoff team, they ain't going to last to you at the bottom of the first round even. So even if you're ready to square away that first round pick at tackle, you still might not get the guy that you're hoping for. But two of those names between Skoronski from Northwestern, because of the length, and because I'm not sure that would be an issue for the Patriots, Dane. When you look at Isaiah Wynn and their willingness to play him at tackle, because he was athletic enough to do it, he showed that he could do it in the SEC. Even going all the way back to somebody like Matt Light, who's one of the best tackles in Patriots history, was not a very long guy. So that would be a name that I would keep an eye on for sure. But Broderick Jones, if he is a little bit raw, and it sounds like he's young and maybe a little bit inexperienced football-wise, I think that's okay with the Patriots too. I go back to a name, Sebastian Vollmer, right? He had the size, he had the athleticism, he had all sorts of tools, but he was raw coming out of the University of Houston. He started out as a tight end coming over from Germany, but they took him in the second round and he turned out to be a great player for them. Is Jones somebody that you think would probably have to go before the third round? He's probably in that second round range at the very latest.
Broderick Jones, I think, could very easily go in the first. I think he's, when you look at the talent and you look at where he's going to be 2 years from now, it's kind of look like, think of Tyler Smith this past year coming out of Tulsa. The Cowboys drafted him in that late first round. And there were questions about, hey, this guy's just really raw. When is he going to be able to contribute? When is he going to get on the field? Well, Tyron Smith goes down in the preseason, and all of a sudden Tyler Smith is thrust in that left tackle role, and he's played really well. And so I think Broderick Jones might be in a similar spot where ideally you'd like to, let him learn a little bit more, develop. But if he's pressing the action, I think he has the talent to do it. He's got power in his hands, good movements laterally. He can protect the corner, does a really nice job using his hands, reworking them so he can sit down and really combat those long-armed rushers. Now, at times, the timing's off. There's a little bit of a wind-up in his attack, and he comes close to losing his balance more times than you want to see. But again, it's a young player who I think has the tools. It's just a matter of reps and getting better, getting more coaching. And so I think he would make sense if that's a direction the Patriots wanted to go. I don't think they could wait to the, if we want him, I think that they take him probably in the first round. Wouldn't be able to wait much longer than that.
Yeah, you have him at number 20 on your top 50 list right now. So that would certainly be in that first round conversation. I want to ask you about one DB in particular who is on your list. It's Brian Branch from Alabama, Dane. And, you look at who the Patriots might see go this offseason as free agents. And obviously free agents in the NFL happens before the draft. They could take care of a lot of these needs before they even get to the spring, and they're looking at rookies. But Devin McCourty is going to be a free agent. He might just retire. Jonathan Jones, I would include in this conversation as well, been a really important guy for them. Can play him outside, can play him inside at the slot. You can play him at safety occasionally. But Brian Branch from Alabama, not only does he just come from Alabama, but he seems like a versatile guy. Is this a Patriots fit to you? Does he scream Patriot to you the way he does to me upon a very, very limited and initial viewing of his game?
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. He plays that star position, which, Minkah Fitzpatrick made, so popular when he was at Alabama. That inside nickel corner, can play a little safety, can play a little corner. And I think that's, Brian Branch is the total package in that regard. The coaches trust him. He has sticky ability in coverage because he's so smart. He understands what the route combinations are trying to do. He leverages well in the run game. And he does a really nice job at the catch point. He's got some length to him, takes proper angles. So he can show up with timing. So he has the movement skills to hold up in man-to-man, but he also has the toughness and the ability to square and drive as a tackler that he can hold up and run support too. So, you think about, a Javon Holland and, what he's been doing in the league, or some of these other nickels that are not true corners, but I don't know if they would call them true safeties either. They're kind of that hybrid. And I think Brian Branch fits. The way they've been able to use him and the versatility he has shown, I think that's been, a big revelation for that defense, and really allows Nick Saban to do a lot of things. So Brian Branch, if you believe that he can hold up in man-to-man coverage against slot receivers, you're drafting him in the first round. And so that's why I think he's in that mix right now.
Yeah, the Patriots did just take a couple corners who they really like in this past year's draft, and Jack Jones is going to be on the outside for them, and Marcus Jones, who's played a little bit in the slot. So it might not be a screaming need for them, but again, they're going to be looking for their eventual successor to Devin McCourty, that free safety spot, especially when you play as much man-to-man and use a single high free safety as the Patriots like to. That's an important job for them. So I'm interested to see if they try to fill that in the draft. Dane, before we let you go, we have to ask you about the sexy position. We have to ask you about receivers, because even though, again, they took one highly in this past year's draft, Tyquan Thornton in the second round, Jacoby Myers is set to be a free agent. Nelson Aguilar is set to be a free agent. Kendrick Bourne, it feels like his place on this depth chart is waffling on a weekly basis. Is there anybody that our listeners could maybe keep an eye out for as they watch these conference championship games, these bowl games that are coming up during the holidays, that would catch their eye, that have caught your eye as maybe some Patriots fits? And I would be thinking maybe even specifically as slot types, or at least have the versatility to play inside. Because again, with Myers being a free agent, I'm just wondering if he's the kind of guy that another team might be willing to pay a little bit more than the Patriots would be to keep him around.
Yeah, well, I think just they have to look in their backyard, not too far away from Foxborough. Zay Flowers over at Boston College. This is a guy who can play inside, play outside. They do a lot of those tight splits, so he can really attack space. And that's where the playmaking potential is really clear with him. He's an electric route runner, especially at the top of routes. He's got that pull away acceleration post stem where, the agile route cuts, it really ties defenders in knots. And so releases quickly, attacks leverage. You see the route running is sharpened every single year. And he's you think of Deontay Johnson, what he's doing in Pittsburgh, that play speed, that ability to, really threaten the defense horizontally, vertically. You could just do a lot of things with Zay Flowers. So I think he could be in the mix there on day 2. If they wait till day 3, maybe a weapon like Charlie Jones from Purdue, speed to stretch the field. He's got ball skills, can secure balls away from his body. Another player to keep on the radar, who is going to be playing here this weekend against A&M, and then in the SEC championship game against Georgia, is Kayshon Boutte, a player we're thinking maybe first round in the summer, but it's just there's maybe not. You think of boom bust potential. That's what Kayshon Boutte, that's what he has. And so that's why he might be available in the second round. He might have that discount sticker on him. But he's a guy that works it from doing his best in the slot. He's got outstanding yak skills, accelerates really well in the drive phase. So he's got the body movements where, as a route runner, he really makes it tough on defenders to stay exactly on him at the stem. Can find those windows. Does a really nice job selling routes, sitting down, giving his quarterback a target. So as long as you trust Kayshon Boutte that he's locked in. He's going to give you exactly what you need week in, week out. He could end up being a steal in the second round on day 2. And like I said, I think he does his best work from the slot, and that's where you want him living in the NFL. And so that'd be an interesting name to keep on the radar for Patriots fans.
Oh boy, and a fun name too, Dane. Let's be honest. If we could get Kayshon Boutte up to New England, how much fun would the people here, the Patriots fans here, have with that? And he sounds like the kind of guy who not only would work for the Patriots and Mac Jones, who's been more effective of late when he's throwing shorter and letting guys run after the catch, but I think that's kind of becoming the trend in the NFL, where defenses are so focused on taking away the big pass deep down the field. If you can get these playmakers dump it off to them and let them go to work after the fact. That can be a really effective way to go about things. Well, Dane Brugler, thanks so much for being with us here, man. You're always so great at teaching us about these prospects that we're still trying to figure out what they are, who they are, what they might be able to do at the next level. So this will be a great thing for our fans to listen to, our listeners to deep dive into themselves after they've heard some of these names, and hopefully they'll catch these guys on TV as they're sitting down during the holidays. So thanks again, bud.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Dane. Thanks again. Awesome stuff there from Dane. A handful of offensive tackle names, including one from the SEC. You know, the Patriots may be interested in Broderick Jones. And then when it comes to that receiver group, Zay Flowers, if you haven't been watching him already, may want to flip on the television and get a look at Zay before he enters into the NFL draft. This is somebody that I know Jeff Hafley and the Boston College staff think very highly of. Jeff Hafley, friend of the Next Pats podcast here. They love this guy and everything that he brings to the table, both on the field and off. So to me, would feel like a program fit, a culture fit here in New England, but a couple of other names there as well. Charlie Jones from Purdue. You know, Rob Ninkovich is a fan of Charlie Jones. I know he is. And so he would be thrilled, I'm sure, to see him in Patriots colors in 2023. Just an interesting spot for the Patriots to keep an eye on. Quarterback? No, I don't think quarterback is going to be a highly invested in spot this coming draft class. You're looking at 2021, where you drafted a first round quarterback in Mac Jones. The following year, you drafted a player to be his backup, quite frankly, because you took him in the fourth round in Bailey Zappi. You should be good at that position for the next handful of years. To me, the question is, do you have the right pieces around him? So that includes the weapons for sure. That includes some of these receivers that we're talking about, but it includes the coaching staff as well. Be interesting to see if the Patriots end up making any changes during this offseason, depending on who's available. Bill O'Brien, are you available? Nick Caley, tight ends coach, do you want to stick around? See some increased responsibilities on that side of the ball, depending on how the second half of the season plays out here for the Patriots. I think those are the kinds of things that could be in play. Let's get to a very quick lightning round mailbag holiday edition. Smash all of those buzzwords together and take some Twitter questions from the folks. So I sent this out early Tuesday morning. We've already got dozens of responses here. So thanks to everybody who checks in on the Bird app. Billy D's checking in, my buddy Billy D. He says, do you blame Matty P for doing a bad job or Bill for thinking he could do a good job? It's a good question, Billy. I do start with Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick's the one who says, hey, if this doesn't go well, put it on me. He's the head coach. He's making all the decisions. You know, could you expect Matt Patricia to do a great job as an offensive coordinator when he's never done it before, when he is coaching on the offensive side for the first time in a long time since assisting Dante Scarnecchia way back in the early aughts on the offensive line? Could you expect him to handle the offensive line coaching duties and handle those well? Yes, he was a head coach. Yes, he knows a lot about football. Yes, he's a very bright human being. But from the people we've spoken to and the people that we spoke to really going all the way back to February and March, these are highly specified jobs that require a very refined set of skills. So the fact that it hasn't gone well is not a surprise. It should not be a surprise. And I think you have to look at the boss because he's the one making those calls. Let's go to Jacob Rossner. He says, are there any free agent O-linemen that could help out our line or at least motivate current guys? Maybe even a Hoyer-like signing where they're more of a coach for the position than anything else. Well, I think they need more than just a coach, although coaching would help, Jacob. No question about it. There are a couple guys that I think the Patriots could be interested in on the offensive line, and specifically at tackle. One would be Orlando Brown from the Baltimore Ravens initially, now the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to make sure they keep him around because they gave up quite a bit to get him. And the fact that he's not signed, that would represent a significant, I think, depends on how this goes. And if they end up winning a championship with a guy, it'd be hard to call it a waste. But do you want to use your resources in that way where you give up what you gave up to get him and then you let him go because you don't want to pay him to have him stick around? But that's one name. He's scheduled to be a free agent right now. The other name I'd be looking at is Jack Conklin from the Browns. Had a nice career with the Titans, has since moved to Cleveland, gotten paid, but he is a guy who has a couple of void years on his current contract. So he will be a free agent after this season. And, you know, somebody who's still in his prime. Okay. So he is just 28 years old, 6'6", 300 pounds. He's a good athlete. He's not a great athlete. I don't know if you're going to be depending on him to shut down some of the league's best pass rushers week after week after week, but certainly could play and be a staple for you on the right side. And listen, that's essentially what you're looking for at this point. I'm going to look up Jack Conklin's games played over the last few years here, but you could use some dependability, some, professionalism, I would say, on the right side of that line. If Trent Brown is back, you need somebody to play right tackle for you. It doesn't look like it's Yodny Kajust based on how he played against the Jets in week 11. Really struggled there. I don't think Isaiah Wynn would be back, although you never say never with the New England Patriots. And Marcus Cannon, we know they signed him off the street to come back and fill a role for them. So Jack Conklin, okay, he has dealt with some injury. He only played 7 games in 2021, but prior to that, 4 of his previous 5 seasons, he played at least 15 games. And he's seen action in 8 games thus far this year. So that would be a name that I would consider, not somebody you would maybe have to break the bank for, although, again, all starting tackles tend to be expensive, but somebody that I could see the Patriots making a play for in free agency just to make sure that they have one of those two sides locked up and maybe give themselves some good quality veteran depth before then maybe even trying to dip into the draft in the first or second round and getting someone there. I think it could be, even though our conversation with Dane, I made it very clear, I could see them spending an early round pick on a tackle. It's a hard position to ask a rookie to come into right away and be good and start and be dependable. Even with Nate Solder, who they took in the first round back in 2011, he wasn't pegged to be a starter right off the bat. They already had a couple of starting tackles. Now, he ended up starting in games because of injury that year, but I don't think that's how they viewed it going at the time. Isaiah Wynn, when they drafted him, were they expecting him to start right away? It sort of looked like it. And then on day 2 of the draft, they actually made a trade for Trent Brown. So lucky for them, because Isaiah Wynn ends up tearing his Achilles, and then you end up having Trent Brown start for you at left tackle that year in 2018. But it did look like initially that Wynn, taken in the first round, coming out of Georgia, might be your starting left tackle as a rookie. So they've played it different ways in different years. I do think it's a lot to ask a rookie to do it. So maybe free agency is the first thing they do to address that spot. Would be wise, in my opinion, to attack tackle, both in free agency and the draft. Okay, we'll do a couple more of these. Let's continue with our mailbag roulette here. Let's go to Miller Lite. That catches my eye for some reason. Miller Lite 30S, Miller Lite 30s. Okay, this should be great. What are we getting ourselves into? What is the veteran core of the Patriots in 2025? I actually kind of like that question, Miller Lite. Well, I think you look at these recent rookie classes, right? Mac Jones, Christian Barmore, Kyle Duggar, Jack Jones, Marcus Jones, Cole Strange should be in that mix. Now, some of those guys will still be considered young players on rookie contracts, but they won't be rookies anymore, right? And so what Bill Belichick and the Patriots have to be hoping is that that is part of the veteran core. John Jones, again, will be a free agent, scheduled to be a free agent, but that's somebody that I would think they would like to have in place as part of their veteran core moving forward. By then, you're talking about Devin McCourty, Matthew Slater, those guys being gone. Maybe Ramondre Stevenson, 2025. He's under contract through 24. So they sign him to a second deal. We're not used to seeing the Patriots do that yet in the modern age with the running back position, but maybe they will for Stevenson because, man, that guy is so ridiculously talented. So I think you have a handful of players in the secondary. I think you have one player on the defensive line who's part of that core. I think you have a couple of offensive players, starting with the quarterback. If things show some progress here over the next few years, again, both with the quarterback and with the coaching staff, that you should have the pieces in place to remain a competitive team. But I like the question because I think it is a little harder now than it has been other years to look 3 years ahead and say, this is who we are. These are who our best players will be. And this is how the Patriots are going to win games. So I like that question for Miller Lite, but I think we hit on a few of the guys that I would expect are still a key part of this team moving forward. Do I have beef with Matt Castle? No, I continue to get this asked every week. We yell at each other on TV all the time. We love each other. He's a great friend. I've had him on the podcast like twice in the last month. So no, we're good. D Yannick 23 this is my cousin Dave. Just an absolute legend. What's your Thanksgiving Day staple? We got to do one of these, I guess. Right. I always love to shout out mom's stuffing. I like to shout out my wife's stuffing as well. We got to make sure we give both credit there. Very different. My wife's has some apple mixed in. It's a family recipe from them. That thing is delicious. My mom always does a great job. My aunt Kathleen with some mashed potatoes that are just absolutely phenomenal, that have been a staple since both Dave and I don't know, we're 7, 8 years old, maybe. So those are the three that come to mind. I do like turkey. I think turkey takes a beating around Thanksgiving, and it's sort of, it's become underrated. I think maybe in some people's eyes, it's overrated, but I think it's just been slandered way too much lately. I'm okay. If you do it the right way, the turkey can be a nice thing. Is it the best thing? It might not be number one or number two in your Thanksgiving Day draft, but it's a staple. It's a staple for me. I don't begrudge anybody that moves on to steaks or does something else. I like to do wings on Thanksgiving because they're not big they're not big turkey people, but I'm going to be a turkey guy through and through. All right. So great questions there. We're going to have a written mailbag on NBCSportsBoston.com very soon, if not already. So make sure you're checking that out if you asked a question and I didn't hit it here on the pod. But that's going to do it for this edition of Next Pats. Hopefully we gave you some names to watch. Again, as we get late into the college football season here, and local football fans, I think, get more and more invested in the college game. You may not be following all of these SEC teams from start to finish once things kick off in September, but right about now, spending a lot of time at home, starting to get colder. You're not able to do the yard work on Saturdays the way you have been for the last couple of months, and you're watching these college games. I wanted to have a few names for you guys to keep an eye on as potential Patriots next year. So thanks again to Dane Brugler. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm very thankful for everyone who listens to this podcast, who interacts with us on Twitter, leaves mailbag questions, leaves comments for us on Apple Podcasts, who rate, comment, subscribe. I'm thankful for all of you. I'm thankful for every single 5-star review that we get, because we live off those things. We need those things. We appreciate you for giving us those things. And we appreciate you for listening every single week. This is one of the best things that I do at my job, the Next Pats podcast. I love it. It is a passion project to me. And so I love all of you for consuming, whether you're an audio listener or you're a viewer on YouTube. Love our YouTube commenters as well. I'll be going back and forth with you guys very soon, I'm sure, in the comments section. So thanks again to you all. Have a great holiday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you next week.